Well, we call this June 28th, 2023 meeting to order. Chair President, you want to lead us in pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic.
You here for Eddie this morning?
I am. Exonerations. Now, these are just kind of preemptive exonerations for the bills that are getting ready to come out. Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the real property exoneration presented this morning.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Yes. This one. Thank you.
I make a motion to approve third payroll for June 30th. All in favor? Documents and invoices. Anybody have any questions? Ruth, was there anything for Gio? Was there anything out of the ordinary? Ruth, was there anything? I didn't see anything. I'll make a motion to approve documents and invoices. All in favor? Minutes. I'll make a motion to approve June 14th minutes. All in favor? State settlements. Ruth? I'll share this first.
Morning, Commissioner. Real fast, I'm short one transfer. All this year, the background check, everything came back good. I can start in July 3rd.
That's what amount?
I think it's 30,500. That's what the prior transfer also made. Matter of fact, it's
Second. All in favor?
And also, I got the commissioners real fast. I want to let you know we had an emergency here in the courthouse yesterday of one of the employees. But there's two employees that stood out to me yesterday during this incident. We had an individual that cut himself pretty bad. Wilbur Lively works in the front office of GN Tire, rock stars. They kept him calm. They treated the wound by being Ruth was out looking for some stuff. I came back and I wrapped it up to the hospital, but I want to let you know that two of them did a fine job this year. So thank you, buddy.
That's okay.
Ruth, you want to introduce Mr. Good?
Mm-hmm. So this is Brian Good. He is our new park director. Hang on,
Welcome to the bottom of the bus.
Do us the thanks. I appreciate that. Been in the job 1 week, so I have that 1 week. Confident. Also feel that's a great place.
Glad to have you.
Yeah. And he's incredibly positive, so I hope it.
Well, I understand we already had the ground penetrating radar done on the pool. Brian already exercised his good judgment to not try to start putting band-aids on it to get next and then figure out exactly the plan moving forward.
We have another meeting Friday with him, which is great. Then we'll come back to you. It'll be great. It's better news than I thought already, but it's not good.
Well, we were braced for the worst. So
All right.
This is your summary and turn.
When we were working on filling the position for receptionist, we had a young lady by the name of Alyssa Fayette who applied. Alyssa graduated this past May from West Virginia University with a degree in criminal justice. And during the interview, she advised that she was planning on attending law school, not this fall, but the following fall. She was probably the best candidate, but given the fact that she was essentially committed to going to law school, I felt it was better to hire somebody that might be around for several years rather than somebody that was going to be around for a little over a year. She interviewed very well, and she expressed an interest in being a prosecutor at some point. So historically, the prosecutor's office has had money in the budget for this, and it's never been used since I've been in office. So essentially what I did is I ended up reaching out to her and told her to offer her the receptionist legal assistant position in law, and then asked her if she would be interested in the summer internship, and she said she would. So essentially she's going to work for 12 hours a week for 10 weeks. Her rate of pay would be $14 an hour. That translates to about $20,000 a year annually. Obviously, that would be benefits. The total amount is going to come to somewhere in the neighborhood of 17. I think it's between $1,700 and $1,800. I have $1,000 in the budget, and I also have some. We were without an employee for a period of time, so the money is within the budget. There won't be any benefits because of part-time nature. Ran a criminal background check on her. Nothing, no entries came. So hopefully she'll be starting on Wednesday of next week. And then for the next 2.5 months, she'll be working with us, assuming that the county commission approves that. My rationale for wanting to start doing this is the last time I put an attorney position, I mean, we just didn't have applicants. So I'm hoping that if we start giving people the opportunity to at least come here and test the waters when they do get out of law school, they may express an interest. So that's kind of my thought process.
Second, all in favor?
Did you already tell us?
It's July 5th.
Please vote.
Yeah, so the next is Leslie Taylor.
Yes, good morning.
Hey, Leslie.
Hey, how are you?
Good. So this is the approval and signature on the notice of intent for business CDBG. Armstrong PSD valve and water tank replacement. So you want to explain it, Leslie?
So the commission several years ago sponsored a community development block grant, CDBG application for Armstrong PSD. The original project was to address issues with the Powelton tank and do some line replacement. As you are aware, there has been a distressed and failing utilities case filed against Armstrong PSD, and that actually put a halt to a portion of our funding that was involved with the original project. So the original project included community development block grant, USDA Rural Utility Service Loan and Grant. As long as the distressed utilities case is pending, USDA cannot, by statute, close on their funding. So because the Powelton tank is in such deplorable condition, we went back to the West Virginia Department of Economic Development and asked for a scope change. You guys signed those documents about 3 months ago. And our scope change was approved to allow us to move forward using only CDBG funds to replace the Powelton tank. The engineer has now revised all of the plans and specs, And the Powelton tank portion of the project is ready to go out to bid. And this is the notification that we have to send to the CDBG program to let them know that we are announcing our intent to bid and seeking their approval to do so.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
I don't have a. We'll have you sign it.
I don't know if this is any clearer.
Okay. The next one is, this is the contract with Denver Environmental Group. Does he know this? Okay. Amy can give them a later. Basically, finalize the numbers. There's the next Friday, there's a construction. And I think Brian is going to go on over and
Make sure that one is good.
And the next thing is a letter to the West Virginia Alcoholic Beverage Commission acknowledging the Spartan races for this.
Second, all in favor? Aye. And we do it in the middle. Yeah.
Yep. So do we have the final contract? About the number 8 is to appoint a commission designee to the Southern Region.
Appoint me.
That's what I was getting right. Yeah, I've already got wrote down here. That's what
I've been coordinating with Chuck Bailey, Bailey Line, who has a lawsuit on our behalf. Association. And he asked that we have a single point of contact, you know, just for the back and forth and for depositions and stuff. And you know, I think probably the best one.
You are the best one. Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, what I'll do is like I did the other day, and I'll forward you correspondence once you know I have things that you guys need to see.
Second, you didn't have to say yourself.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, I know you don't want to do it.
It's
sweet.
All those in favor? Aye.
Statutory thing.
All right, the next are the general school worthless check magistrate transfers.
I make a motion to approve. I'll second. All in favor?
Same thing. John started it. Budget statement. So that's you're required by code to file in the county clerk's office what you intend to pay everybody for the upcoming budget year, and then all the employees' titles, etc. And then the line item revisions is basically, I don't know if that's in your packet, but
yeah. Yeah, I'm good with it. I make a motion to approve. All in favor? Aye.
The back. Next is our workers' comp renewal. Effective July 1, we did have a slight in our experience rating. It's still $70,000 a year.
Second, all in favor?
Okay, these are so Michelle's here. We have a sales agreement, trading equipment, and also discussion of the funds for county clerk.
So the first one is the sales agreement from ESNS for the new poll books and the new DS200 and press books. So once those are signed, they will get those into production. And we already turned in the other. So should be getting our check from the money from the Secretary of State probably right after the 1st of July. Yep.
Second, all in favor?
Yeah, there should be. But it is in YouTube.
Oh no, there's only one sign.
No,
Too close, too far. Yes, what's on that? I guess you have another.
I do, yeah. So, as Ruth kind of pointed out, I'm not exactly sure. So, talk about the ones that were created by Senate Bill 522 first, because those are brand new. The Secretary of State looked at the fact that we are very likely not going to be getting all the monies, or we get $1 million to split with 55 counties. We tried to find a more dedicated funding source. And one of those was the state transfer stamps, which are being drawn down into county transfer. So it's not money that you guys ever had before. It's not money the state is already planning on losing. And we're just taking a small portion of that and setting it aside to fund elections administration and security in the
security. I mean, you know, share this.
Right. Well, it's stuff like if we want to get a new server, or if we need like computers that have upgraded equipment, like upgraded software, or even things like if we need to get new scanners because equipment needs upgraded. That's the main points of that. Yeah, well, that's the one part, and then yeah, the elections administration money. We're really looking at the fact that we're not that far from the current equipment being obsolete in terms of like government years, you know, like 5-6 years down the road, we're going to have to start upgrading that equipment. The DS200s and I mean, so yeah, and you know, before where we were getting, the state was getting like $100 million to spend or $50 million to spend on that stuff. Now the last 2 cycles we got $1 million to split between 50. So the goal of that fund 62 is to let that money build up, and there's actually a cap on that one that would be set at what it would take to fully replace our equipment. Which it's going to take us a while to get there because we're looking at about 10 grand a year in those accounts. But that will be there if Putnam County's had to replace all the batteries in their DS200s because those things go bad, and it's going to cost him like $60,000 to just replace the batteries. So, I mean, stuff that we'll have to do, and if we've got that money that we know is for that, it might make things the point. Third one is, so I don't even know when this was separated out. $2 of every recording of deeds of trust, fixture filings, and list pendants is supposed to be put into the general fund and dedicated for the use of the county clerk's office. Obviously, we spend, I mean, you know, there's money in the budget that we spend. It's about $2 grand a year, $3 grand, depending on how many things we record. But it would be nice, but that's also a rollover account. And the other counties that do that, I mean, I know, again, Putnam County, talking about it, you know, got all new scanners with that money for his office. Or Hardy County also does that. I don't remember what they use theirs. I think he's let his build up quite a while. But it would, I mean, it's not, because it's not necessary, but it would be nice to have something like that And I think for accounting purposes, it would be a whole lot easier if they ever came in and said, well, have you been spending that money on the county clerk's office? You would have, as opposed to like digging through all of it. It would already be separated. It would already have a kind of account. That's just. I don't know if that's necessary. I do. Right. That's fine. The other two are separate. They were intended to be separate.
Second, all in favor? Aye. And Eddie's on his way, so Eddie's on his way. For the next one. Right? Pick up his next one. He's on his way. I was texting him a little bit ago, but I didn't see him in here. So if you want to go.
On the flood letter, Michael, just to give me the money.
No, it looks good.
All I did was change a couple of references to and all the unit areas affected by the floods. The other thing I did that was funds were solicited in part at county shelter. Put in there.
I'll make a motion to approve. Second, all in favor? Aye. Here's yours. Eddie, I figured you was up next, but I'll go ahead and pass it to the other one. You want to talk about pictometry?
I mean, sure. Caught me off guard.
I mean,
You're gonna have a chance to.
Okay, what you got?
I was able to share what it is.
Oh, okay. Well, pictometry is a thing we use in the office for mapping. And right now we have aerial photography with a straight down shot. See the top of the house and the property outline. And the pictometry is a much better product. You can actually see it from obliques. So you can see straight down. You can see from the north, south, east, west. And it's a better resolution. It's a way, way better product than we have now. We've had pictometry before and we couldn't afford it. The next time we did it, and so we took a step down. Tyler used to be my mapper. He can tell you about that, but we took a step down in quality with the new product. And that product has made our jobs more accurate. Just like we did exonerations, the first list, before we got the aerial photography, you come over and you have 5 or 6 pages of exonerations when, around the 1st of July for the new tax tickets coming out. We had less than 1 page today. So it makes it much easier for the guys. And also with pictometry and with the product we have now, but it's loaded onto a laptop the guys take to the field with them. And there's a GPS unit hooked to it. So, you're following down the road, you type in the map and parcel number, your car's little green dot. When you pull up in the driveway, you're at the right place. And a lot of times you'll get out there on our job and there's 3 or 4 houses in the area that all look alike and nobody's home. No mailbox out with the address or names on it. So you really struggle sometimes to know that you're in the right spot. These help us do that. It's made our jobs so much easier. And I'm sure for the towns, it's probably made your job easier. And if the 911 center jumps in and starts using it, the sheriff, the first responders use it, you can actually look there and you can see the obliques and tell, okay, the entrance is here, there's an entrance here, entrance here. And if the sheriff was out there trying to apprehend a suspect, he knows there's a door over here, there's a door here. that kind of thing. So anyway, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them for you.
And that's one of the things I was going to talk about. 911 center, fire, and sheriff's department. I'm sure that that would help in any situations if we talk about it.
Probably help with that too, you know, we have all those napkins.
Yeah,
It's a great product. I mean, I think we probably have now. I can't swear to this. Tyler could probably tell you, but we have the product that we have online now, which is just a straight down shot. You see the color of the roof, you can't see the color of the house. There may be a history there, Tyler. Is there a history where you can go back and look at the old stuff?
There is, yeah. So in acquiring the new aerial photography through pictometry, you would also gain access to the 2015 aerial photography set, and then also the one that the Sheriff's Association flew to the state in 2010. So basically all your historic aerial photography through them is available, which gives you access to change detection, especially for assessment purposes. You can see what buildings were built on it. Right.
Yeah, and that helps us. Oh, as he spoke of the buildings. You know, someone will come into the office and say, we tore that house down in 2020. Well, we got the map for 2023, and it says, oh, well, the house is still there. You know, I mean, it just stuff like that. You know, that really makes our job easier and more accurate.
And then you was talking about funding this too. And you was talking about now with the assessor's office.
Yes, sir. We were going to have to fly anyway with the smaller company, and it's going to cost us somewhere in the vicinity of 40 to 45,000. So, you know, we thought if we could go into this new system, we could spend $50,000 out of our budget that we have money set aside. We save money every year in our budget to be able to do these flyovers because it just makes it so much better for us. Yeah.
And that's where I was wanting you to talk about what you talked about. What I want to do is split the call for the 911 center and your office.
Right.
And contract will be up some 2-3-year terms. And I think the yearly payments was $33,387 a year. That would be split between the assessor's office and the 911 center if the commission allowed and Ruth says.
Okay.
Is
that yeah, the price was somewhere. I don't have the paperwork with me.
It was 104,000.
Yeah, so
on it can be financed for 3 years, 33,387.
Right. Well, I would pay my portion up front. But yeah, we would put 50,000 towards it, and then guys would have to come up with the rest of the funding. Otherwise, I can't do it because I can't pay 100,000. I just can't do it.
I think it's something that the whole county needs. Sheriff's department can use it, fire can use it, 911 center can use it. They can actually pull it up on the screens and see exactly what they're doing, exactly the house they're dealing with, anything.
Right.
I'm on board.
Yeah, we had briefly discussed about Oak Hill contributing basically a prorated portion of funding based on the easiest way to do it would be to calculate up the square mileage cost for the county and then calculate the square mileage for Oak Hill, and that would be our prorated portion. I think that came out on the 6-year schedule. I believe that came out to between $1,000 and $1,500 per year. Would be our portion of that, and I've run that by city manager, and Ms. Johnson says we can certainly manage to do that. So, and I will say, just to add to this, one advantage of this aerial photography system over what like the assessor's office and other products as well acquired the last time, this one it's got its own web viewer, right? Which the one you guys got last time, it doesn't have a special web viewer. What that allows is people who don't have access to GIS software to be able to use it. So anybody can use it. This contract comes, as I understand, I spoke with the pictometry Eagle View representative. It comes with unlimited licenses. So there's not a limitation that you can have for access, which was great for us. That was one of my questions. It's also great for the county because you can deploy that among all the departments. No special software is required. You can pull it up on your desktop. They also have a mobile application. So everybody who's out in the field can have that right on their phone or mobile device. So I think that's a huge advantage, is them having their own web version of the software. Gives access to anybody. You all can have access to it at any point in time as well. So, and that's unlimited users for, I think, the duration of that 6-year period. And then typically after that, you would pay a subscription based on the number of users. So you're not paying for new aerial photography at that point. You're paying a reduced cost for access to the web software, basically.
After 6 years.
After that 6 years, is the way I understand the way their representative explained it to me. And we had done that as a county back when I worked here several years ago after our 2015 purchase of this product. I think you get it for maybe 3 years after your initial flight, and then we started paying per user per year, I think up through maybe 2019. And, you know, at that point, it gets dated. That's the importance. Most aerial photography programs will try to do a recapture every 3 to 5 years. Aerial photography gets dated, right? We're due for one. I think 2020 was the last capture date, I believe it was, with Blue Mountain.
Yeah, I think somewhere in that vicinity.
Come to the commission last, I think it was the year after.
I believe it was.
You showed me that.
So we're approaching 3 years on that now. By the time you would contract with them and wait for a suitable time period for the recapture, which you want leaf off conditions, so it's going to be the fall or spring. So there's a time period. So you get it under contract now. By the time they fly the aerial photography, post-process it, and deliver it, we're going to be at that 4-year time period. So ideal situation to go ahead and get a refresh of this. After 4 years, so many things change, it just begins to get dated.
And there are a lot of, to add to that, there are a lot of counties now that are doing it. So if you were to decide today that you're going to do that, they may not be able to fly it till spring because they can only do so many.
Yeah.
Time period.
That's why it's important to get it done now, really.
Right.
So we can do that. That's the list.
Well, I think it sounds great.
Second. All in favor?
All right.
Yes. Yeah.
Just, as far as access.
It does. It could be any, as long as there's connectivity, right? You can have a Wi-Fi hotspot. You can have anything, whatever you connect. Now, obviously, we're going to have areas in Fayette County where connectivity is limited, right? But that's also where, see, this product has an integration with the CAD system, and Phil knows about that. Your dispatcher is going to have access to it. So,
Can you guys discuss
Yeah,
that?
yeah. We got a 9:30. In fact, you're missing your 9:30, Mr. Cruikshank.
It's a bit opening.
He can get his phone number called. I'm not being trying to be rude.
no, I understand.
Okay. Yeah. We have a bid open at 9:30 for the Fire Association's building.
Thank you.
Well, only 2 of them.
Got one from Dan. Mystery apple. Well, Dan Hill's bid is $850,000.
Okay, I have a bid from Fine Contracting in Parker. They total $768,000.
$280, $300 something.
So that initial bidder didn't bid.
How do they do?
Well, don't we need to turn it over and have somebody look at it and
Yeah.
make sure they're.
Yeah. Make sure all specs and everything's right.
Now, the only thing that's, and this is all of their insurance forms
Dan has it.
and the business license. There's no detail, no information, nothing like that. So,
You know, most people you hear, isn't it?
whether just the information will do it is, probably not correcting, but there's no paperwork on the breakdown of anything.
Is there any food in there? We did put it
Yeah.
aside. It doesn't say what they're doing. Well, I mean, we could presume, but, I mean, I think there's already, presume they're gonna do what it's going to do in the bid. Depends how much sugars you put. I mean, what do you think, Waters? It doesn't have much in it. I mean, he has the bottom line number here. But the bid was, if the bid request was specific enough. Yeah, so.
They should have.
Yeah.
They should have.
I mean, it might be the less sophisticated way to apply, to bid on it, but it doesn't mean it's not a good bid.
It's the envelope. It didn't even have the company's name or.
I still don't think that this qualifies. Well, I think we're going to.
I mean, that's like
decide,
saying,
figure out.
I'm renovating my bathroom, $5,000.
But this is mainly just to have a sign for it, and they were specific. Let's look at,
Yeah, it's a building
let's look at the bid request and just see if there's enough in there. You could compare it to the difference. He did put a figure out plan in there. So what did he do? Figure out,
You can
yeah, picture.
look at it today,
This
or
is
you can
like-
pay for those things.
Yeah, we got
Right.
it. Yeah, we don't have to make, we can't really, we have to go have specs check first.
Sometimes better reviews.
Yeah.
But
And-
okay, right.
And there's nothing new to it.
Everybody got a copy of it. Yeah, I was here.
And the last one.
Right, which is why we put out in the bid exactly what we wanted to. I don't think that was just, I think that.
Well, we need-
Let's see what-
We need to see what the engineer, yeah.
In the future, let's try to get the bigger.
Well, we're not making a decision, they're gonna have the engineer make sure the specs of this first. We will postpone, we will postpone until we have that decision, until we have that engineer look at it.
I don't even know if we need to postpone, we did open bid, so you want to just put a place marker at the next meeting?
We can, like, when we do bids, we have an engineer review it, I'm sorry, we have Dan Steve. Who's an engineer.
Well, I mean, assuming there's nothing regular response, a legal issue, and assuming their assistance, the engineer was. Happy to go with it.
Will you look at that, please?
Restrictions.
You're welcome.
See. Will you look at both of them there?
Is there a, on the one that came in the envelope, is there a bond in that one too?
There's insurance. There's insurance important.
What we need to do is get a copy of the bid, and if we could get a copy of the specs that we handed out that meeting for the lawyers. They're not very detailed. Either.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Correct.
Hi, my name is Sue Bud. Are you ready for me?
Just
Yes,
a second. I'm gonna make sure I tell Nicholas County. One of the Nicholas County commissioners contacted me on the day. Okay. Who's on here? All right.
My name's Sue Wood. I work with the Fayette Prevention Coalition in New Jersey communities. I was here at the beginning of May last month and discussed the need for a vape or smoke shop ordinance in Fayette County in order to set a minimum distance that vape smoke shops can open from schools, youth serving areas, community centers, and from each other. Today I have with me 3 members of our teen court and youth group. There are 3 of 7 that accompanied us to the Youth Empowerment Summit at Marshall University at the beginning of this month. So I'm just going to quickly introduce them. We have Riker Wood, Jalen Surface, and Maren Baldwin. Also have a few community members here as well. So I have a draft ordinance available. I wasn't sure if you had a chance to look it over. Me emailed it all. Amy, do you want to take this?
I really want to, but I didn't. You have any comments on it?
Yeah, it's just obviously it's going to. So it's. I'm not being critical. It's just the reality in terms of keeping it with children. That's not to say we shouldn't go forward with it.
I bet we could send a letter to the municipalities with a copy of our policy. If they want to implement their own.
We plan on following up with the city councils as well. My understanding is there are 4 schools that could potentially be impacted by creating this ordinance at the county level. And it would be preemptive because no vape shops are already open to affect those schools. So it would be in place before anything like that could happen.
Just forwarded the email.
There is section D of the ordinance.
You got this?
I'm sorry.
It's the one, this is the one you emailed us a while ago.
I just want to call it section D of the ordinance. We did leave a space in there in case we would like to do anything regarding the failure of these stores to pass the compliance checks. However, if that's not something we want to address, we could take section D out.
Who does the citing when a shop is cited?
That could be a state trooper or the sheriff's department. Yes. When we do our sign our checks, which are stores that are randomly selected at a state level, we use a state trooper. When we do adjunct sign our inspection, something that we do at a county level, we use the sheriff's, someone from the sheriff's department.
And so you guys track those statistics. You would know, like who would be able to say they've been cited 4 times?
Yeah, I think that would be a discussion because I feel like there's something there's both the state level with the state troopers writing it and the local level. I'm not sure what the next there.
They cited in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the one who she's been the one who so yes, she's
And there's been no citations given, right? Even when they're selling it to the elder minor.
So when we do the inspections and they sell to a minor, both the employee and the store should be cited at that time. And so, yes,
they have been. I guess my concern is more including a section D, and I'm not opposed to it.
Okay.
I could speak to it. But I would want there to be some policy in place.
Okay.
Within the health department, within whatever that apparatus is, doing the citing. Okay. So we can track it. We can't, Nathan will tell you, we don't want to start enforcing something like this. It's going to be punitive to somebody's business without having hard data that we're tracking on everybody.
Right.
You know, we don't want, selective information, accusations and that sort of stuff.
The problem is these are aimed at the magistrate. What
I'm thinking is, as we do the sign on inspections, I can retain a copy of the ticket. And then because then we would only be focused on the stores that are being inspected. And it's a select number of stores. We don't inspect every store every year.
Well, that's the matter that, how do we decide who we're going to inspect? Rotating?
Well, it's decided at a state level. We get a list.
I think we ought to work together on this. We probably have to have some huge traffic. We need to have our ducks in the room. fine with the ordinance?
I mean, do you want, what's it be out and amend it maybe?
For now, I would strike the.
That would be the best, you can amend it.
Yeah, I think we can. Procedure in place. Monitor it fairly. The state, the data is coming from the state, so we show that it's not arbitrary. Right. You know, and we aren't picking who we want to pick, that sort of thing. That we have it all on. Make sure we have the administrative infrastructure in place on our end. Connect with you guys with what regularity you're going to let us know when that stuff happens, or send us a letter, you know, when you're not. Okay. And who within our office can we'll deal with that. I would say that's a good thing to be accepting a fee, which I think we should start with the funding, but I absolutely think we ought to work together to get it.
Second. All in favor?
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, kids. Teamwork.
Yes, I'd like to take a break, yeah. No need to take a break, will we? I tried to be as light as I could, Miss Miller. When I first started doing that, I whistled really loud. Browbeaten by the two commissioners.
Yeah.
So I tried to be as light as I could. I will call the meeting back to order. And David? Board?
We have two items. Rest. Item Larry Bledsoe.
Oh, okay, Mr. Haynes, yeah. Yeah, Mr. Hayes, yep.
This is probably highly unlikely. You need me up there?
Yes, sir. We want everybody to hear you, Kenny.
The elderly gentleman that did a lot of it told me three things that I need. I need to stand up tall so everybody can see me. Is this okay? I need to speak up loud so everybody could hear me. And I needed to be brief so they'd all like me. So anyway, I'm here representing the New Haven PSD. Sometime back we came requesting funds, projects that were in a holding pattern to get a preliminary engineering report done. And those reports were going to cost $40,000 per project, and we had 4 of them. Well, since that time, 3 of the projects have been able to be moved forward. However, the one project, the Whispering Pines, has been eliminated from the process because of excessive amount per customer based on the funding agency's opinion, I would have to say, as good a word as any. So, so at this time, now that project is also included in what we're referring to as contract 19, that is at an add alternate that we will include those that grouping of houses should our bids and funding be available to proceed with it. But the critical needs funding was turned down for those houses. So I'm here to, David, I can't even say, to give back
the funds that you all have committed to us, so that should you have somewhere else that is in need, those funds will be available. And so the Whispering Pines project is definitely in a holding pattern, and it won't be utilizing the PER funding that we have requested. Not that it's been eliminated completely, but the funding that we were hopeful for didn't materialize. I thought it was a certainty, really, as far as any project has been a certainty, because of the funding being designated to help small groupings that were high in cost per customer and likely wouldn't be able to be funded any other way. So being expensive per customer, I didn't think was an issue, because I thought that was the whole idea, but it didn't turn out that way. So I'm here today to let you know that we won't be drawing from that money to do that preliminary engineering study. But that grouping of houses will be included in contract 19 as an add alternate. So hopefully we can get them in there. So
Kenny, why don't you go ahead and share how much the cost per house would be?
With that group, it was probably going to be in excess of $100,000 per home, $125,000 per home. Five, six. So,
and to give you more of an update, there's an 8-inch water line running down by that area that would just have to be tapped into, but each homeowner would have to pay the $125,000 in order to have fresh running.
West Virginia American. We have water that runs from Edmond Road down Millward Gross Road, across the creek, and all the way around the other direction. We've got water line in that whole area, along with fire service. And tabbing on to that line right there at the intersection, it just run the water line up at the road right of way, and customers come down and hook up, and it looked like a easy peasy project to me. But anyway, what do I know? So, well, like I said, it was a hard pill to swallow, but you know, somebody had to do it. Here I am.
Would you like me to explain what that ad is?
Yes.
It's already in place. If bids will come in low enough, there's extra money on the contract that's been allocated, then we're combined with this. That money that we're in. That's already in place.
When will you know that when the bids come in? When is the bids going to be coming in?
You've heard about the plus of water. There's a delay in project contract.
Yes.
The Public Service Commission has changed the way they want projects to be funded. Want West Virginia American Water to charge the surcharge to all their customers in West Virginia. So instead of costing the people on the New Haven system $18 a month, it would cost them 25 cents a month in surcharge. If they do it the way the Public Service Commission says to do it, the West Virginia American Water fight. They're going to litigate it, and as of today, if the project is delayed, there's no litigation done with it. What we're trying to do, and I think West Virginia American Water trying to do also, is get the Public Service Commission to let it go ahead and proceed. Contract 18, contract 19, while they fight out, and whatever happens. We're really hoping that happens because contract 18 great bid.
Is that just with regard to 19, or is that, or are they having that fuss statewide?
They're changing statewide. Two projects right here. I've got two in Sumner County, and then there's in Berkshire County. So all the projects are better bid. Whereas the American Water involved in, they've been told by the Public Service Commission.
But the contract 18 point is the one that's actually official litigation.
Who makes the decision on whether everything's halted until the litigation is finished?
Public Service Commission has to give approval. Then they're withholding that approval until it's worked out.
I think
So it's them. So that's your question.
we probably need to send a letter to them about that and re-include those letters from the people who live in those areas from projects 18 and 19 and how they've been without water. I mean,
That letter that lady sent?
yeah, maybe just, you know, revise the last letter we sent, but just say,
I agree.
we urge you to not to cease work on this project. And yeah,
That would be so great.
Yeah, I agree 110%. Glad you brought that up. Yeah.
At the last meeting, the customers, the public who was at that meeting, they are already in favor of the surcharge because they want water.
mm-hmm.
And any thing that's happening to delay that is just being more days that they are without water. Some of them actually say we don't give us $40 a month, we want water.
Right, and we can put that in there because they said that to us here, you know, that they just want the water, but we can just say, you know, our constituents are telling us this is our community members, this is what they want. And, you know, so don't delay the water. They can always go back and credit their bills or anything like that.
Exactly right. You know what, the water company can roll that expenditure into the next rate case and it's gone.
Can we, I know this is far-fetched, but could we
Brace
request,
yourselves.
could we request West Virginia American Water to come in here and the PSC to come in here, discuss it with the commission?
We can, the water company or the PSC, we could ask them if they would please come in individually, but not together.
Wow.
Because they may be something that they have to rule on later on.
Well, they're litigating too, so they can't come in without the lawyers, like you're talking about a big
I'm talking about, well, I want,
big old show.
I mean, I'm not talking about causing a stink, but I'm talking about coming in here and explaining to the commission, well,
What's up?
what's up, you know, people want water. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Well, we could put that in our letter and invite them to
And
let us know.
let's do it.
We definitely need to put the letter together urging that they do not stall the bidding
I
process.
think we ought to push them.
I think so too, and I will send it to the governor.
Yeah.
Thanks for your original question. But along with around contract 19 is 6 months behind contract 18.
Okay, so they're both in range right now.
7 months.
It's not gonna be litigated in that amount of time.
No, if they don't some side litigation, get it going forward.
Yeah.
There's also the possibility of committed funding going away if things don't happen within a certain timeline.
Can you get us the specifics on that
Yeah.
to include in our letter?
Yeah, let's around one, maybe give a retro letter to.
Okay, that would help because we want to put everything in there and let them know the full implications of what they're doing. It's not just, you know, I understand they're doing, and listen, I support that they're fighting that battle on behalf of our citizens, but don't punish them worse. The people being affected by the fight.
I'm next letter from the West Virginia Water Development Authority, you know, saying that, you know, they're committed to the project and ready to go. And they specify as long as this happens, all funding will be in place. One of those is the timeline at the end of this year. So I can forward that email.
I'm just throwing this, and I know I'm blindsiding you both, but Anthony and Michael, do we have any way, if they're litigating this, and I don't know if it's in court yet, obviously, but do we have a way to, you know, intervene or at least make that request of the court or do something? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out if we have any, just something to think about, if we have any recourse. I mean, I think we start with a letter, but
Where they're at, Alex, is the Public Service Commission has their own process. They're in that process. They sent a request for reconsideration to Public Service. They're not involved with that.
So the courts are not involved yet. But anyway, you don't have to answer me now. I'm just throwing that out there for you to think about. All right. Well, thanks for the update on that. And please tell Mr. Bledsoe we hope everything's okay with his family.
Yeah.
All right, Tom.
All right. It says break, but I'm gonna go back to Ruth.
Get back on.
Yeah. We got 16 for Ruth.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, we have Matt's agreement that he is on the trail.
Somewhere, yeah, he's on.
Limited cell phone service.
Okay.
So, but it would finish out the Red River Rail Trail. It's laid out in there.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think the commissioners have any questions about it. I don't have a problem with it.
I mean, it's no additional funding or anything, right?
It's just the next $20,000 agreement, and it lays out
that we've already allocated.
That's the wrong year.
I noticed that, yeah, I messaged them there.
It tells you what they will do. So, and we do need him for the thing that blows out at the end of the grant. And he's also working with how Tom wants to expand.
Yeah, from
the landowners through there.
Yeah, all the way to 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started on that a couple months ago.
Okay, and he's also going to design the next website for the trail, the maintenance plan. That's all things we have to do for the grant anyway.
I think we can move forward without him.
Jimmy with him?
Without him here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, without him here. With him, without him here. I move that we approve the Meadow River Trail.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then there was a support letter to the WVU law. It was due yesterday. So y'all have to number 16.
Yeah, no pro chunk.
Yeah.
This is just supporting the program that's going to help educate us on all the things we need to learn. So I move we approve the letter.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next is the City of Oak Hill request to renew the building inspector agreement for 6 months.
And did we make it so it's renewable just in case you guys need him any longer? Is it renewable?
Demita, will you come up to the mic, please?
I don't think the microphones are working, so.
I don't think that wording's in there because normally we do this every year. We don't have it renewable. Our goal is to have it ready to go in 6 months, but if we don't, I wouldn't mind to come again.
Come back and amend it or whatever.
Yeah, we could revisit it in 6 months if it's necessary. You can make that part of the motion.
Or I could just write in renewable monthly on a month by month.
Okay, that's fine.
That way we don't have to do it again.
Yeah. We hope we will be ready. And thank you all for doing this. It will help us and hopefully help your building inspection department that they don't have to fool with us anymore.
I just added this agreement is renewable in 30-day increments through July 1, 2024. That sound all right?
It was good to me.
Expiring. So what's 6 months from July 1st, December 31st?
Mm-hmm.
Who would be renewing?
The city of Oak Hill.
And then I would put renewable at the option. Who are you contracting with?
Our building inspector. So it's Oak Hill uses the county building inspector.
Okay.
And they're hiring their own. So they just need Alan for a shorter period of time now until theirs is up to speed.
Okay. Renewable. Somebody needs to be able to exercise the option of
Okay, I just put it on here.
Okay, because otherwise, somebody could just say, yeah, I'm going to keep doing it as a contract. Need to have somebody.
Agreement is renewable at the option of the city of Oak Hill in 30-day increments through July 1, 2024. Who we approve contract?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
That way you don't have to keep,
That's right.
coming back.
Thank you.
And Damita, you can sign your part and then we can get copies for everybody and they'll be done.
Okay, y'all want to go to, are you finished with everything else?
Other than those two letters and the maintenance discussion.
I was going to go to executive session.
That's items not
Okay, Commissioner.
for what?
For personnel discussion. Okay, I move we go into executive session for personnel discussion in item 18. I also anticipate I may seek legal advice on item 7, the Armstrong Creek PSD letter from our lawyers who drafted the letter.
I want to call this meeting back to order. We just got out of executive session at 10:46. Seek legal counsel, discussions, but no decisions made. We did talk about some maintenance reorganization. And Ruth, do you want to open that up?
Okay, so a while back, Allison had mentioned maybe we needed a change to maintenance so it's more centralized, and I agree because everything's all disjointed. So I had an initial talk with Sonny about basically Sonny being over maintenance across the county, not just the courthouse. And he's actually stepped up and been doing it. So he would be over, I guess, coordinating the maintenance between the parks and the courthouse.
Directing it, maintenance director.
Making sure everything's getting done and we know what's going on. So he seems to work well with everybody, and that was my recommendation. I also think that he would deserve more money for that. And I think a salary of $42,000 would be reasonable. He makes, I think, maybe 37 now. Okay. And as part of that reorganization, do you want to vote on that first?
Yeah, and when do you want it effective?
I would say as of this payday Friday.
Okay. So I move that we approve putting Sonny Milam in the position of maintenance director at a salary of $42,000 a year effective this pay period Friday.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then so another one of the things that I think needs to be looked at is the schedule, because right now, like when trials run late or they're meeting after hours, people are having to stay late. Overtime, yeah. So they're supposed to be adjusting schedules, and I think it just needs to be made official. Those schedules need to be adjusted, whether it's when there's trials or on a permanent basis, but 9 to 5 isn't cutting it because they're having to stay late, especially when there's a trial, or if people don't leave their office and they can't go in there and get things done. And I want Sonny to look at that and adjust those schedules.
I think you should just tell him to do that.
Okay.
If you want him to do that and within your authority.
Right.
I agree.
Possibly 11-7.
Yeah, I mean, I think whatever it takes, like.
Right. I mean, he can handle it however he wants to handle it. If he wants to make it a permanent or as needed, but we definitely don't need to be paying overtime when we can anticipate.
All right.
People having to stay late.
All right. Well, that's that.
All right.
Okay.
Now I want to talk about, we're done with discussion.
Well, we need to do number 7, but we got to get back to
Yeah, it's 10:45. We'll get back.
Amy's working on that now. Ruth is.
Number 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can send that to her, but I do have.
I mean, we could vote on it. We just don't have it assigned.
Right. And then we use Smithers letter.
Well,
Yeah, we
just go ahead and get the opioid.
Just sign that one.
Oh, the representative?
Yeah, the representative.
Okay.
I would like to go ahead and have the representative be Wes.
West County. So basically we need a representative to represent the county at the opioid settlement conference and to help to cast our vote on our behalf of who we want to represent the county, the 11 county region as a director. So we can let Wes know, what we want, but we also, I think, need to do a letter to the municipalities and let them know that they can send a proxy through us, you know, whatever that vote is that West could cast on their behalf. If they cannot attend, because it is important. We all have a small percentage of the vote. It's not a 1-for-1 vote. It's that 90%, whatever percentage of money we're getting is what our percentage of vote is. And so we want to make sure everybody is able to vote. So, so I move that I agree. I second that we approve West Tony.
All in favor?
Aye. West Tony, he's our
Tony.
assistant prosecutor. He's the one who's done the legal work for us on that, like explaining to us what our percentages are and all that. He understands it really well. And he was at the legislature when a lot of this was going on too. He was a lawyer over there.
It's pretty sure.
Now I'll just tell you that our recommendation will be Anita. We're going to support Anita for that job. Raleigh County has also a good qualified candidate named Tony Kelly, a medical doctor who's done a lot of work in McDowell County, 30 years emergency room physician and manager. So I had a talk with him and felt like he had a lot of good ideas too. He knows that what we've been doing isn't working and that sort of stuff. So, but we'll have, you know, Wes is basically going to be casting our vote on our behalf, representing us there. And if any municipalities want him to vote for them, then he'll vote for them too. That's it. So
We'll try to finish 7 and 5 before 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Vote on them.
We can.
What's 5? We did 5.
Yeah, we did 5. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
On
7.
On Armstrong Creek PSD, I was able to receive 67 complaint letters concerning the PSD and the quality of the service that they're having. We are also collecting more. There's going to be a hearing in July. And Mr. Taylor has put together a letter for us so that we can send it to the governor and the PSC.
We're just copying the governor, right? And the legislators. Yeah, governor and our state and federal reps need to be on CC.
My motion to approve the letter.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, John, for the work.
Absolutely.
There'll be more.
Okay, I guess that's it on the roofs. All right.
We should go ahead and do 11 again.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's chicken scratch right there. Says it's done.
Let's go ahead and do the 11:15. I believe your mom's family this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can do that. Who wants to? Yeah, if you would.
Yeah,
Let them know about it.
Are all of you here from Mr. Mullins' family? Well, listen, I'm Allison Taylor. I'm one of the commissioners, and this is Commissioner Tom Luisos and John Brenneman. We have been fortunate in this county to not have had to do this very many times. Usually we're acknowledging somebody after many years of service. And we were very sad to learn of your loss. Cody was out there fighting fires for the people in the area where I grew up and where John represents. I mean, his sacrifice means a lot to every single one of us. And I just wanted you to know that. Hate that we have to recognize somebody at, you know, in his 20s instead of our usual in their 60s or 70s or 80s. But we want you to know that we felt that loss throughout the whole county. We were advised right when the accident happened, and we didn't want it to go unrecognized. What Cody and all of his colleagues and our first responders do for this county, because we do recognize it and we do appreciate it. And who has the, we have a certificate.
It's beside you.
Beside me? Oh. Snicker would have bit me. Let me, I'll read this to you first while it's on the microphone nearby. It says, it's a Fayette County Certificate of Honor. It says the Fayette County Commission hereby bestows the certificate in honor of memory and recognition of Cody John Mullins, who gave his life in the line of duty, heroically protecting the citizens of Fayette County on April 13th, 2023 at Armstrong Creek, as Service Forester for Fayette County, battling the Tucker Hollow forest fires. Fayette County Commission commends Cody's time as a Fayette County Service Forester for the West Virginia Department of Forestry, as wildland forest fighter in California in 2022, and drone pilot for the state of West Virginia. He was a valuable and dedicated protector of our lands and will be remembered for his service and sacrifice. And then the 3 commissioners have signed it. This is what the certificate looks like. And we frankly, this is only a token of our appreciation because we wish we could give more. We have wife Ramana here. Thank you for coming, allowing us to read.
Very sorry for your loss.
So our process to do is only that there is an investigation with regards to arrest.
Did you want to speak, or did anybody want to speak?
Getting us through a very difficult time. All the fire departments, sheriff's department, prosecuting attorney's office, everybody stepped up in a time that was definitely needed. And I worked at a Beckley for many, many years and worked with everybody here in Fayette County, and always had great support. But on that day, Robert Dew was down there first thing in the morning. We started the investigation of it, working the case, but the support from the fire departments and Kevin Walker, and you know, it was, you know, above and beyond. And you know, I know that, you know, this is a great county that I've had the blessing of working in for a long time. And Cody loved this county, and he would have had his entire career working for Fayette County, I guarantee, because he loves it there. But we appreciate you all. You know, we want to do that.
The investigation revealed forest fires
With ours,
were intentionally set, and the suspect was identified and was interviewed by law enforcement and admitted to 75.
okay.
So
Has it been indicted on?
no, he's charged in magistrate court. Issues arose regarding his competency and waiting at this point for his competency to be evaluated, but he's been charged in magistrate court. Everything's on hold.
You guys understand what that means?
Yeah. He's been in touch with them every step of the way.
I have no doubt in my mind.
It's been a great, you know, everybody going together, and that's the way it should be, and that's the way it always has been. It definitely has a lot to do with leadership that runs this county.
We appreciate everything we do, and it shows what great colleagues he had at all. He showed up here, you know, for us to do this and support his family. Anyway, well, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
We thank you all for coming in. We appreciate everything you guys do back here in the back.
Yeah. I guess it's now for 11 o'clock.
Can I have a moment before we start?
Yeah, you can have a moment.
Okay.
We need a break?
No.
You want to?
Earlier today, we did openings for the Fire Association building. Our job as commissioners is to watch every dollar or every penny that comes in as tax dollars from our citizens. The Fire Association has been trying to build a building, and the advertisement on the first one wasn't done correctly. And on the second one, it was put out. We don't make the decision on who applies to build things. We don't make the decision on who they pick. We just need to make sure they pick them correctly. So don't tell me it's the commission's fault for not doing their job. We do our job. We're here to protect the money that the county brings in. So don't blame us for something that wasn't done correctly. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
All right. Is Danny. Is Danny or somebody from Danny's Body Shop here to talk about changes in record rotation?
Yeah, it's on the boundaries that were set this past year for towing services like north and south. It's supposed to be pretty much balanced. It's not even closely to being balanced. Whenever it was done, it was supposed to be reviewed like in, I forgot, like 90 days or 160 days or something like that there to see, you know, how closely balanced it was, which I don't believe it was ever done. So anyways, I got a copy from the 911 center from January the 1st showing about how balanced it is. It shows south side received 456 calls, north side received 200. So there's a lot of difference. There are 4 towing services on each side. So I would like to see if we could just do away with the boundaries altogether, the whole county open for every towing service, just like our surrounding counties are.
I do have one question. Where's yours at? I don't, you know, I'm not.
I have Danny's Body Shop and towing. It's right there.
Which is
60 and 19 in Hico.
You're in Hico.
Then you have 2 in the valley. You have Logan's, which is in real close to Hico also. Then you have yours is what they're on Main Street in Oakville, B&M's at Hilltop area, Mike Fox is at Glen Jean, and Prudence is also on Main Street.
I just got a couple. I just got maybe another question. What's the time frame that you could get to Mount Hope in from where you're at?
20 minutes.
So you can guarantee 20 minutes. Are you the only driver?
Yes.
So what if you're on another call across the river?
Then you decline the call, which does happen to all the towing services. You know, a lot of times you're tied up. That's what you do. I mean, like you get bumped. When you get bumped, you go to the bottom of the list.
How many minutes or seconds do you got to react to that call?
You're supposed to be in route, what, 10 minutes?
So if we changed it to 3 minutes, for you to I'm just throwing some questions out. I deal with the 911 center and calls and reaction, stuff like that. That's the reason I'm asking this. So if the commission, 911 center decided to do this, but we changed the rules and your tone time reaction, I don't know exact words of Kevin if they can do it, it's 3 minutes like fire department or somebody else was, and you don't react to letting us know you're going to leave to be at that other location in 3 minutes, and then we go to the next person with tone, you wouldn't have a problem with that. Instead of 10 minutes, now it's 3 minutes.
I could probably fulfill that better than probably some of the others.
It's not fulfilling, it's saying that you would agree to that no matter whether you can fulfill it or not. You got 3 minutes to say, I'm leaving right now. Okay. I just had to ask that question because, you know.
Let's set on 10 minutes. I mean, like if you're in bed, it's going to take you a few minutes to get you close.
I know, but I mean, yeah, I know, but I mean, you know, I think that was set up. The reason is because it's not, you know, I know there's more calls across the river here southbound than there is northbound. But I mean, that is, you live over that area just like Wilson is in this area, and it would be more beneficial to the reaction time because it's closer to where you're at, you're located. I'm putting common sense out.
Whenever y'all changed it the last time, you gave Valley the whole area that I have. So you had Valley, let's say like A&E, which is close to Montgomery, he is on rotation from that bridge. So you already have him set up to go that distance. And that would be about the longest stretch for anybody that is on rotation. Because like they're in a balanced area, you know, in Oak Hill area where them to get back to Dainese may be a little bit of a stretch for them, but it's, you know, no more.
PJ.
I don't know. It would still take us all, you know, 30 to 45 minutes, depending. I mean, I'm talking about like if they're in Montgomery and they got to get over to Dainese, they should be able to get there in about 45 minutes. And also it falls into, you know, like the officer can say, you know, due to the situation where the car is located or something like that there, then I don't want rotation. I want the next on road, you know, I want somebody close.
So if the officer, if it's a crash on 19, it could be handled different,
right,
than what anything else is.
Yeah, he could see like who's next on rotation. They say such and such from the valley. No, let's go ahead and go with somebody closer.
Because it needs to be taken care of ASAP.
And they do that already.
Well, that was the only concern, I think, was, and the main reason for having those lines was just to make for promptness, for response time.
That didn't make sense.
It did at the time. We didn't make that policy, but we have enforced it.
Because it used to be Valley, only had Valley. They only come up to Chimney Corner, maybe up to the Page area, Page Kincaid area. So now, you know, whenever the changes were made before, they come all the way up, you know, look out Dainese, Meadow Bridge. They have that whole area now too. And it wouldn't be fair to them to just restrict them back to Valley.
Right, right. Do you guys have something to say on this?
Only thing that I've always opinion on, I mean, if you would open the county, don't do like it was before, where north was allowed to run south and south was allowed to run north.
Yeah, no, I didn't like that.
That was but the only, I mean, that's the only thing, if you would do it as a whole, but the only other thing I know is, and I don't know what is in y'all's control. I know A&E's biggest problem is, and we've been seeing it here lately, is Hutch's running Montgomery calls, and that's taking a lot from him down there.
Hutch's what's supposed to be in county.
Yeah, they're not even supposed to be in this county, but it's going on.
Well, is 911 calling?
Fire department's calling.
Well, fire department, that's not 911 center.
I'm just saying.
I mean, so I'm just saying it's not. It's if 911's not calling him, we're not dispatching him. The fire department may do it separately.
What I'm saying is 911 will dispatch him, and the fire department calls Hutch, and Hutch will be the scene, and Hutch will get it. That's what. I mean, it's happening.
What fire department's doing that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I was gonna say that he's got 3 employees that work on the fire department. I mean, the 911 dispatching, you know, when he gets there, Hutchins already got the vehicle usually. I mean, he's got 3. I mean, it's. And the only other thing I gotta say on that is if we're gonna follow the police, like everything follow, as far as inspections and requirements that we need to meet to be on that rotation.
Well, it is the PSC regulates that, correct?
They inspect the trucks, but they don't do the lots or anything else.
All they have to do is just make sure that we're safe. We're safe and compliant with safety guidelines. But the thing is, we as a county have our own set of guidelines that were put in place 2 years ago that are a little bit further than PSC to hold the standard up, but they're also, to be on PSC, you don't have to have a conventional and a rollback. Be on 911 rotation of Fayette County, according to the laws that y'all adopted, you have to have both to be on rotation.
So
you have to be able to take care of the situation.
So why doesn't the PSC require that?
PSC is just basically regulating what you're charging your customers and safety of the equipment that you have. And the safety of the equipment or the safety of the customer's vehicle. So you have to have a storage lot. If you have a storage lot, it has to be secure for the safety of the customer's vehicle. And they regulate what you're charging the customer because it's a third party call. It's not, if a customer calls me direct, I can charge them whatever I want to. But if your 911 center calls us, then we have to follow their guidelines to charge that customer. And it's actually like the gentleman said a minute ago, PSC has their own so they can regulate themselves within themselves.
So what reason would you want to roll back? Is it because of situations the car may be in can be towed? It has to be pulled up on.
It's the safety of the vehicle. It's the safety of the customer. We shouldn't put no more damage, even if the vehicle's wrecked. We shouldn't put no more damage on that vehicle than what's already occurred in the wreck. We shouldn't bring the wrong equipment to the job and damage that vehicle more than what it's already damaged. Unnecessary. Because, I mean, it's one of us professionals to provide equipment to the job. So, I mean, that's why Fayette County has a record and a rollback, because any call that we get, we can perform it with a record or a rollback.
Well, you have 2 rollbacks? Yeah. Okay.
So I want to know if Philip has anything to add. He's on.
Well, I do once he gets done.
Oh, okay.
Well, you wouldn't have a problem with a 3-minute response, would you?
No.
Is 3 minutes reasonable?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, I think if it's 10 minutes, the reason I look at times out there with fire department response times and everybody's response times. Yeah, I know. But I mean, they have to tone or they have to not acknowledge that they're going or something. The reason I'm saying is if you got a 10-minute wait that you can let them know or not, and then it takes you 20 minutes to get somewhere, that's a total of 30 minutes. What if it's on 19? It's clapped in the middle. I'm just saying, I mean, to me, if you can't answer it,
like it right here. You look down through here, get a copy of this, and it will show you everybody's response.
yeah. Well, I mean, I look at these, believe me,
Okay.
not with the record service, but I look at them.
Right.
With the fire and ambulance.
On those with the record service, Tom, everything that says canceled, you've got to back off. Everything that has the call turned around, you've got to back off, because when I did them, they weren't that far apart. Also, if you're going to compare apples to apples, we need to look at last summer to this summer. You can't look at the wintertime, because the wintertime is a totally different game. Also, on the things that when the PSC comes to your place, they ask that they see everything operate, whether each switch, each knob, all the lights, everything on the vehicles operate to meet all their standards. They'll want to see the paperwork for the driver to make sure they have the correct licensing. They have a report that they do for each vehicle, the licensing, plus they want to see your proof of insurance, and then they want to see a copy of your tow paperwork that you do the tow with. During the early part of this year, I asked Mr. Walker to go out and visit each one of the tow companies. And to my knowledge, he has not done that. He did send out information to request all the paperwork that is given to the PSC, because we have to update our records yearly. And we need to stay on top of that. So again, I ask that Mr. Walker goes out and visits each one of these towing companies to make sure that they have a fenced-in lot, to make sure that they have all of their paperwork correct, and that they have their rollback required and that they have their record required, because not all of them have had that until recently.
Well, Kevin has a file where he inspected stuff. I don't know what all it said, but it was from January.
Yes, but he did not physically go out and inspect them.
Yeah, he just called and got the information. But I mean, it was like basically overnight, I gotta have it. So, you know, we had to send him copies of insurance filings and everything like that there. But no one has ever come out and a visual inspection.
I wouldn't do.
I wonder whose job, I mean, is that even his responsibility?
I don't think it's his job. I think it's Steve Tanya or Phillips, but.
Now the state's been there and done a physical.
Well, I mean, if and that's what I was getting ready to ask. If the state's done a physical, why, if the state's done a physical, and I'm not arguing with you, the state's done a physical, why would we have to go out and do a physical of the property?
Because
approved it. I'm not talking about the vehicles.
Well, no, I'm not talking about that either, but our regulations that we have as a county in order to be a tow truck company, there's other regulations that you have to hit that the state does not look at.
Above and beyond the state.
Are you talking about the property itself?
Standards of the county and what y'all adopted are higher than what the public
of the physical property.
Everything, yes.
I'm not saying, I'm not excluding the vehicles. I'm specifically asking about the property.
The gentleman who did mine, you know, like the one who's over salvage yards and everything like that. Like licensing and stuff. He's the one who come and done mine.
So what difference is in the physical property that the PSC requires and the county requires? It's different. I didn't fool with this.
Okay,
John did.
It's a secured lot. It's supposed to be 8 foot tall. It's supposed to have lighting.
The PSC doesn't require that, right?
If they do, they don't inspect it.
They don't inspect it.
Okay, well, I'm just asking what the differences is. You got to have a requirement different than the county.
As far as what they do is vehicles on it. They come in, you know, they want to see all your paperwork.
So they don't care what your property is, your physical property.
As long as you have a physical property where your trucks are being inspected, that's what they consider your physical property. But the standards on the adopted of what the county has is it has to have a fenced in and an indoor storage. That's what your requirements are. The PSC requirement is one or the other.
One or the other.
One or
so it has to be secured.
So it has to be. Well, that's really no different. We're really no different. I mean, as long as you got a place to secure it, and that's why I've asked. As long as you got a place to secure the vehicles, the PSC is okay with it. I mean, I could call the PSC and ask them, you guys do this for a living, but I mean, one or the other. I'm just asking.
Well, let me ask this. Is it, I mean, you're the professionals here. Do our additional requirements make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the PS.
It needs to stay there. The other counties don't have that. And, you know, the thing is that people don't understand is, you know, if you get in a car wreck and your belongings are in there, and you go to the hospital, your belongings are still in that car.
Right.
You don't want your car sitting on the side of the road, right, secured while you're in the hospital. And
I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm saying the PSC, I think is what you're saying. I'm not arguing with the two commissioners here. I'm trying to figure out, I mean, as long as you got a secured area to keep the vehicle, that's what they're requiring. But we require a building plus a fenced in area is what you're saying.
What are the other requirements?
We have the reason why the county requires you have to have inside storage for police officers. Mainly police officers will have an inside hold for drug cars, murders, anything like that. It's in the investigative. It has to be inside secured.
Over chain of custody.
Yeah. That's what the requirements of that.
Well, that makes sense.
But the thing is you got record service. The only thing I would say, this is my opinion, is if we're going to have these standards, which we do need to have, is someone to just validate it and make sure that they're kept up with, because we've got record services, and I won't say their names. We got record services that are storing cars in front yards, their front yards. We got record services that are storing cars residential property. We got record services that are running conventional records because their rollbacks were broke down and they're destroying the car.
Okay, my next question is who's going to investigate it?
It used to be in the past, the assistant the deputy assistant director, what, Tanya's assistant, I guess would be, they regulated that, they visited the site, like quarterly. Jamie used to go out quarterly and visit the site when he was in that position and make sure that everybody had the rollbacks, they were fenced in.
I've never had anyone show.
Well, Jamie spoke, well, I mean, I know he
This
did.
was a long time ago. Too.
Well, and just because, and I'm gonna be honest with you, if they drive by and see you have both, what's the use of coming in and you're not there because you're on a call, and you're on a call, what's the use in you know, knocking on the door and then leaving a note saying I come by, but you wasn't here. I'm just saying.
Well, they got all our phones numbers on file. If they really wanted to catch us, they could say, hey, Dan, I'll be over at 2 o'clock. You gonna be around? Sure, buddy. Come on.
Okay.
All right. Well, can we ask Philip now if he has any comments?
Yeah, Philip.
Hey. Can you hear me?
Yeah, do you have an opinion one way or the other about removing the boundaries as long as response times are? I mean, we could create a policy about response times. If somebody can't respond with the next, amount of time, that we move on to the next company.
Right. I mean, I'm open to it as long as the response times don't get out of hand. And we also don't want to see an instance to where a company turns down a call, it goes to the next one, they turn it down, off to the next one, they turn it down, and we're waiting an hour for somebody to get there. We kind of, as long as they stay open to it, everybody agrees to it, and the response times stay reasonable, I think I'm fine with it. Whatever you guys want to go with.
Anytime I receive a call, if I know I'm gonna be a few minutes, I tell them right then, but hey, I'm gonna be 15 minutes before I can go. Ask the officer if he wants to wait or get someone else.
And Philip, do you have any ideas about how we might mitigate this stuff going on in Montgomery where, the fire department, I mean, we can't control what the fire department does or them calling their relatives, tell them show up to tow, but what we can do is tell the officer in charge who the wrecking company is that's next on the rotation, right? I mean, there's always an incident commander on site, whether it's fire department or law enforcement. So can we put in our procedure at 911 at least to try to mitigate this a little bit, that, when it's something that's that may involve, car accident that may involve a wrecker, then we just go ahead and let the officer in charge know who's next on the wrecker service?
We could put that in place, but as we all know, it's still.
I know they're going to do what they want, but it might help, like if we tell the officer in charge or whoever if the fire department is in charge and we say this company is on for rotation. I mean, I don't know if it'll help, but I don't think it would hurt. But does the policy make sense though to do that? Would it?
I mean, we can most certainly we could try it. See if it does help mitigate that, but it's still going to happen. We all know that.
It's for them to tell their dispatchers that, like when they call up and say, send Hutchins, sorry, Hutchins is not on rotation in Bay County. We need to at least give ours an opportunity to come first, and then if he's not available, we can do it, or unless it's an owner's request.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we can do that. We can at least tell them who's on rotation and see if that helps. But I grew up in Montgomery and I know exactly what's going on, and I can totally see what's happening. So, but Philip, can we try that for a while? Like just you and Tanya come up with a policy and at least implement it for the next 90 days and see how it works.
Yeah.
And can you guys give us feedback? If you see anything happen? We'll probably implement it starting maybe July 1st. Maybe July 5th, depending on if Tanya's out sick, but let's just, implement it and then let's see how, if it works. Let us know.
We can do that.
But if it doesn't work, we don't need to keep doing it. I mean, after a while, let's try it out.
And I got one more question. I'll shut my mouth. What other county has extra upgraded rules that we have?
Raleigh County does. Raleigh County, I'll be honest with you, is like Wild West. Because it's very political. They're open county, but they They have a lot more traffic too, but I mean, honestly, it's, you might run a call and bolt and turn around and have to call and bolt. And they, I mean, they've got some big record churches over there as well. But
we mean 1 hour.
you got 1 hour deal and see.
Whoever gets there first gets it.
Sometimes. I mean, they'll stage them on the interstates. I mean, like not the interstate, just blend that interstate, but like Route 64, now they can stage there and then they'll let dispatchers know, hey, I got a record sitting under the overpass at the airport exit, and they stage it. And then if there's an incident there, that's who they call. I mean, they've got a lot of the same guidelines we do, but they do have a little looser. It's very political way it's set.
So they require you to have a fenced in and a.
Yeah. Now those requirements that we have, they have as well.
Okay, that's what I was talking about, the requirements. And the only reason for them requirements is because if it's a seized drug vehicle or something like that. Okay. See, I didn't know that. I stay on more side.
The thing about seized vehicles, we all know. The thing about seized vehicles is you have to put in an environment that nobody else is allowed to be in, but pretty much there's nobody allowed to be around vehicles. So like you got to lock it in a room, nobody can touch it for a while.
So there's different rooms in your building.
I mean, we do, but I mean, we can get out of space for that. But I mean, a lot of us have garages with an empty bay. We stick it in the back. We all have. But there, it has to be, like I said, the only person out there is offered to investigate.
Yeah, I got one sitting now.
I got one right now too. So, yeah. And the bad thing is we even know the thing.
Well, I guess the main thing I asked Philip is that you guys also keep an eye on, our response times and make sure that, this change in policy, assuming that's what we vote for, does not negatively affect those.
Right.
Or appreciably. Anyway.
That's my only concern with an open rotation. If you do decide to open, the response times have to stay reasonable, or it's just defeating the purpose.
Well, let's track it for 90 days and compare it to last year's, as John suggested, if it passes.
Okay.
So, all right. Anybody else have anything to say?
I'm just trying to figure out what we're suggesting, to be honest with you. Are we suggesting to do away with the rules and regulations?
No, the recommendation is to do away with the lines that we drew north and south.
Which was Laurel Creek at this time.
Yeah, it got moved. Remember, Gary came in and asked that it get moved.
But you still didn't. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can go ahead and tell them you know more about it.
You still have like Earl Manley, which is down there in Valley, who has to come all the way up 61, all the way up to Oak Hill, come back down to say Evan. So he's already come right through Oak Hill. So for him to come up there and split and go towards Mount Hope, he'd be in Mount Hope about as quick as I would. So as far as, like, it's not, the response time's really not going to change that. Like, it's not going to be any further for him to get to Mount Hope than it is for him to get to Meadow Bridge. You already have him going there. And I'm kind of in the middle.
Well, I mean, I'd like to see, I haven't even looked at the maps because, like I said, I'm more into the fire and the EMS than I have been into this. I mean, I'll go with whatever y'all suggest, to be honest with you, because I haven't looked at it, because it's just a trial period, right?
I think John and I are on opposite sides of this.
Yeah, I won't support this.
I got one thing to say. As far as rotation time, and Danny and Mike right now on the Meadow Bridge and get stage. We can be Mount Hope at the other end of the county. Fast as we can be Meadow Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got 19. You got 19. Yeah.
You got better roads. Your feet will be faster going out like that. Compared to what you get across 60 Meadow Bridge.
Yep. Well, I'm definitely willing to change it for a trial period and see how it goes.
How many days you talking about trial period?
90.
Could we do less than that?
Well, from what y'all did the last time, y'all took away from me. I had Mount Hope, I had Oak Hill, I had Prince, I had everything but Valley. So y'all took half that away from me. Then after you took that away from me, you said, okay, Valley, come up here and take the other half thing. So that's what y'all did.
I'm saying 90 days because it'll take about that time to gather enough data.
I was gonna say,
Because, that wasn't fair. For it happened to me and also happened to Chad. Chad to shut his business down because he was like, I can't afford to run them.
so we talking about going back to the old way it was done?
No, we're talking about taking the lines altogether away and letting them just rotate in and see if the response times, are affected negatively, then we'll revisit it in 90 days. But if they're not, then that will basically open competition for every record company in the county that's registered to be able to go to that.
Okay, so what we need to do, we're going to do response times, then someone has to, from the 911 center, has to record when they actually arrive.
Yeah, I mentioned that to Philip and he said, okay.
Yeah,
so they were
90% of the time they don't put on when they arrived. If you look at the sheet that.
Hey, Philip, that system will go ahead and do that, correct?
Yeah, you should have a report right there in front of you, Tom. Do you see
that's
it?
what I was asking you. Can you run this report off for me?
Yeah.
See, because I was trying to decipher it, and it's not like the reports, the other reports, and maybe it's because I went over the other ones with you.
Who goes is that my drivers need to call in and say, hey, we're on scene. Is that how this is going to work? Because I mean, a lot of times we're gone before we're on scene and gone before. I mean, usually the only time the officer marking off scene is usually tell us, hey, they got big. You know what I mean? So does my drivers need to physically call in?
Why would they have to change what they do now?
Well, for response time, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
A lot of this here will show arrival.
Well, so you're talking about opening up, but still will be on the rotation.
Yeah, you should probably if you're worried about us knowing that they get there, you're worried about the incident commander telling us when the record got there. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure. I know, like I said, we passed, I do. Usually the cop marking off scene and we were done, but there's no protocol for us being actually on scene. You know what I mean? To let them know.
We should know when you're on
Yeah,
scene.
we should know. You should, in my opinion, you should.
Yeah, I think.
It's usually, I'm sitting here looking at one of the reports, Tom. When you see, I'm scrolling down through that, you see a lot of en route. You see the cancel, like John was talking about.
Yeah, I see the enter, and I see the cancel. I don't see arrival.
Right. There's a few. I'm looking at a couple of
here's one that says arrive, but there's not very many of them that says arrive on it.
Because the other emergency units, whether fire or law or whoever, is not calling it that record company has arrived on.
Well, in order for this to be, the record company has access to call in, correct?
On the phone, yes.
Yeah, just call in because that'll.
I think that, yeah, y'all need to be responsible to show you're there on time. Don't rely on fire departments or anything. And so you're talking about doing this and staying with the rotation for 90 days.
I want to stay with the rotation, but take the boundaries away.
Yeah, okay.
Test for 90 days and just see if, and see if it works. If it works, there's no reason to have all those boundaries.
No, I don't have a problem with that as long as it stays in rotation.
And if it does make the response times worse, then we need to revisit it.
But if we revisit, we still need to move the boundary.
Well, I mean, we can talk about that. We got 90 days.
Hopefully it works.
And believe it or not, next time you come in here, I'll have a map setting up there.
You will believe
I'll have a map setting up there. It shows every response time and areas, how many and everything in 90 days.
Did you write all that down?
Philip knows me. So I mean, so I mean, he'll probably already start working on it because he knows how I am. So 90 days.
Well, we're hoping it'll work. So you guys spread the word to your colleagues, let us know when you get on scene.
And I want to make sure that when you make sure you're on scene, you don't call 10 minutes before you get to the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be some type of, and I don't mind doing that as long as we stay in rotation and they call us when they're on the scene and we got times of how long response times are. I don't have a problem with that. I can go with that. As long as everybody understands that. Now, Philip, you'll have to let everybody know that.
Can we
Yeah,
send a
we'll take
letter?
care of that on our end.
Yeah, can we send a letter to all the companies on the rotation and just let them know they need to call to let 911 know when they are on scene? That should take place no matter what. I mean, no matter what happens with this policy down the road.
And I think
you could also for a little while just have a dispatcher say, hey, let us know when you arrive.
Right.
And that way, you know, kind of get the habit of it also.
Yeah, that's true. Do you hear him, Philip?
Yeah, I heard that.
In y'all's best benefit, I would make sure y'all let everybody know when you get there.
Yeah.
Because it'll be.
They'll have a lot going on too. So I mean, this is a new procedure and we don't want our data for 90 days, for the next 90 days to rely on that procedure. Having teeth by then.
And I would like to request that if you can't make it in the rotation, don't put it off until you think you can. I mean, that's something that if you can't make it, give it to somebody else. Right. You know, I mean, that's just
because it's a public safety issue.
But yeah, I mean, so that's an issue I would have with it if you put it off. That's one of the things reason I asked, you know, Philip probably says I'm being too extreme, but if you answer in a certain amount of time saying I'm going to be there, 10 minutes is too long for me, but I can live with 10 minutes as long as you say it. If you can't make it, say I'm not going to be able to be there. So
yeah, I agree. If not, you leave the fire department, you leave
leaving everybody hanging, you know, and them guys are volunteers.
Yeah, that does happen.
Yeah. So, but.
Well, I move that we remove the boundaries from our policy for a 90-day period to direct a rotation. See how it goes.
And everything that I said in there added to that.
Yeah.
Second.
We track the data.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed?
Me.
All right.
Okay. All right, we'll give her a shot.
He's gonna run me one off. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
There's
Thanks
a lot
for
of
coming
things
in, fellas.
you got to track from that. Once you get it, I'll show you.
Well, what it is, they wasn't putting in the arrival times on there. I didn't see but 2 or 3 arrival times.
Yeah.
And that, you know, you can't tell anything from the arrival time.
Yeah, you got to subtract all the cancels out. You got to subtract all the arrival times out.
All right.
And once you do that,
Done, right.
even.
So are you guys fine with Bruce stamping our names to the Armstrong letter?
I don't have a problem.
Okay.
It's trying to do some things on that little thing. So they have the very portion, they have all those codes for 2015. They all are actually 2018 now.
The ones that were updated?
Yeah, they were updated last August. I mean, I can either call the meeting and have them resend it or just y'all can scratch through where it says 2015, it's all good to be 2018.
Just give it to me. I'll scratch through it. It's my hand. I haven't scratched it. We'll call her first, and then if she says okay.
Yeah, they probably just didn't realize they had. And
I'll think it's
the vaping ordinance, I didn't get a look at it when you guys adopted it, but it mentioned zoning and conditional use permits.
I thought we took that out.
I don't know if you guys.
No, we took D out.
Yeah, but that was what had the permitting or something.
I think it was an
The
A,
very
but it
first
said
one is
zoning.
So with that has to go to all commission, but I think she was like planning commission. So I think you just take the zoning stuff, y'all have a separate ordinance where it doesn't sit and be inside.
I've got it right there.
What they call it a zoning, it's really not.
Right.
It's really, you're talking about in section 1 where it says a new zoning.
Yeah. And then there's another section that says conditional use permit, that's zoning lingo.
So can we just take out the word zoning and just make it be ordinance?
The conditional, the way I interpret the conditional use, you're correct.
Yeah, I just think that's wow.
I think the way I read that was we're going to do the conditional use permit. Maybe it should just be conditional permit. Take out the word use.
Where is that one?
It's in the top of page 2. Because the way
I see it.
The way, and of course, the way the ordinance was written is the conditional aspect of it is contingent on the information contained in subsection D, which basically talks about, okay, we're going to give you this permit, but if you have X number of violations in this time period, we're going to pull the plug on your permit. So I mean, I think you can get rid of the word use and just change it to a conditional permit.
Okay.
Because conditional use permit would be where I would follow zoning, but who would issue the permit?
But it's not, I mean, this isn't zoning.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Who would issue a permit? What office?
The health department, I would say. It's health department.
Yeah, I saw this.
That's a good point, Angela.
Just change the wording.
We're just gonna make it the health department. Okay, so we'll take out the use. So we'll say a conditional permit from the Fayette County Health Department. And then on the zone, we'll just remove zoning, a new ordinance, right? Is there anything else? No, those were good points. I'm glad you brought it to our attention for the end of the meeting, because now we can fix it. So I move that we make the changes that our zoning officer and our attorney recommended. Move zoning from section 1 and remove the word use from item A, and then add from the Fayette County Health Department after permit.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Oh. Motion adjourned.
Oh, yeah.